Hey, blessings, welcome back to the stream. Or if it's your first time here, well, welcome for the first time, I suppose. So we're going to start with a recap on today's video. Last time on Spirit Stream, I warned everybody basically that we were going to be producing a video or publishing a video called The Tree of Death. And basically explained that as a warning, you never know what's going to happen when you watch it. Because there's this idea as it relates to the Tree of Death that the moment that you think about and invoke, even mentally, just conceptualize these frequencies, these ideas, these demonic realms, for lack of a better way of saying it, that they could potentially come into your life whether you want them to or not. And this was explained in the video itself when it came out this past Monday. So if you haven't seen it, go to YouTube or Facebook if you're watching it there, and find it, and you can see what I'm talking about if you're interested. And the concept is basically this: is that when you look at the Tree of Life as the foundational map of existence, we need a way of understanding and explaining the dark sides as well. There is darkness in the world, so if all of the realms of existence are all pure and holy and good, then where does evil come from? And therefore, the Qliphothe, or the Tree of Death, is a system by which we can categorize and understand what all of the, ancient religions would write about when there's like the demons and stuff, especially in the Old and New Testament, Satan and those guys, Lucifer, and all of them. Basically, it's a way of mapping that realm. However, what we didn't really get into in the video, like the video itself was an explanation of how to read this map, basically. But it didn't really get deeper into like, what are demons? How and why does this work? How do you deal with this? But we left this clue at the very end and said, look, all of these things that the dark forces of existence are outlining are all things that are within us, things that we are creating, right? Like, for example, the one that's associated with Yesod, closest to the bottom, but not the bottom of the tree itself, is translates to and relates with pollution. And we've created a lot of pollution. But this is essentially describing that the pollution is within our energetic bodies, within our bodies of consciousness, right? And if we can clean up our own energetic fields, activate our Merkaba, do that whole spiritual thing, that we clear up our mental awareness, our emotional bodies, we find that inner healing, and we cease to create pollution. And the idea then being that if we can heal that individually for ourselves, and then we do that collectively, then we essentially solve the root problems of where pollution comes from to begin with. And that's the whole basic idea. It relates with many, many different ideas on the tree of death as you go down that stem into, anger and jealousy and duality and things like that. And the more that we as people ascend into the realm of healing those things, the less and less power they have over us, right? Simply by acknowledging it. And so the question of like, how do you deal with demons, or how do you deal with darkness or the tree of death? There's many, many, many different ways, and they are all basically love and light. The two forces of goodness in the universe, right? And often described by the tree of life itself, right? That the creation of all things ultimately stems from love and light, mind and soul, right? And then those things are kind of like as above, so below of each other, mind and soul producing life and light. And so from that perspective, it starts by illuminating the darkness, and that brings you to a place of facing your shadow, facing who you are, who you have become. It means actually being straight up and real with your perception and your beliefs and the way that you identify when they're not in resonance with your soul. For example, if you are addicted to, let's say, smoking cigarettes because you started at a point when you thought it would make you cool because your friends did it, and then it became this habit, the original core root of the reason why you started is not a soul-driven relationship with a plant medicine of tobacco. It's a ego-driven compulsion based on an emotional desire to be liked by your peers. There's a big difference there, right? And so as we grow up, we take on these different ideas and beliefs, these subconscious, unconscious beliefs about ourselves and who we are, and it shapes our behaviors and our actions, and it shapes the kind of person that we become in life. And usually, there's some sort of combination there, like the ego's driving a lot of the ship, and the soul is driving the other half. And it's a dance of how much of each is really, who's in the driver's seat for which parts of the journey, and why, and how often do you switch, right? Do you change out the roles? And so that takes courage. It takes courage to be able to do that. Not everybody does that, being able to actively and regularly look at yourself. in all of the ways that you are, seeing who you've become. Because we often get very attached to the stories. The stories, because they make us feel empowered to have a sense of control over what's going on in life. And the amazing thing is right now, we're in this period of time where everything is getting mixed up. There was an analogy that I heard recently, and we're actually going to animate it at some point soon, which is that like life before the pandemic was, if you imagine like life and all of the aspects of life as like, and society as like a series of boxes, like 100 boxes, and they're all mostly pretty stable. And there's like 2 or 3 in your life that are moving around actively, you know? These are like things that are happening in your life. Well, since the pandemic hit, that's flipped. And the amount of stability that any one of us has with this whole thing is a lot less than it used to be, as all of society goes like this and starts shifting around and shaping and changing and moving around and stuff like that. But that means that there's an opportunity, with everything moving and shaping and rechanging itself, for us to participate in that change and become creators, because things are less stable, more transient than they used to be. Things are moving around. You can be the mover and shaker and shaper of life. And that's something really special. And so this is an invitation, really, for everybody to do that. You know, for everybody to open up to the possibility that you are a creator and that you can do amazing things and step into that life for yourself. And so I have a bunch of notes here, different ideas and things that I wanted to talk about in relationship to this. Originally, there was a much cleaner flow, but it really did become elaborated upon just in the moments right before this stream. There were so many things coming up, and I didn't know how to deal with them. But I want to share a couple things here, so I'm just going to point out read some points, talk about them, and then we'll weave it together into the bigger picture. Okay? So, right when I started the stream, one of the first comments from some guy, modern day something, I forget what his name was, said that the tree of life does not exist. He says that spirit science has been compromised because I'm talking about things that are, you know, illusions. And I loved that, from the perspective of saying, well, yes, absolutely, but everything is a hologram. You know, like as creators, we are the ones who, through our belief systems, decide what kind of reality we want to live in. If you are believing that the earth is flat, or the earth is round, or the tree of life, or no, just Jesus, or more into the, you know, the Hindu religion pantheon understanding of everything, all of those are cohesive systems of understanding life, and you can follow each and every one of them if you want to. To say that, well, my way is far better than your way and your way sucks and therefore I'm going to attack you over it, is kind of a limited story, because it leaves you on a singular path when you could be walking on multiple paths, or being aware and expanding into many different understandings and seeing how they weave together to create the ultimate mind of God that makes up all things. I'm going to have to change these tapestries in the near future, because there's one that called the All that really explains it well, that it's a hermetic idea. We'll leave the tarot out of it for the moment, but the idea that's in that card is a hermetic idea that says that all paths to spirit lead to the summit. That there are an infinite numbers of ways of revering that which is divine. And that's a beautiful thing for us to just consider for a moment, right? Like, why limit ourselves when all that we know is a grain of sand on an infinite beach next to an even more infinite ocean? And like, our belief system is that grain of sand. And why not take in the whole ocean, right? But that means, like, have you ever seen the creatures at the bottom of the ocean? Terrifying as all hell can be, some of those things. Absolutely majestic, but frighteningly scary. And there's that giant alien squid thing that's like a skyscraper tall. That's probably an exaggeration, but still wild. Go and look up like the super alien squid thing. You'll find what I'm talking about. The point being that this whole tree of death concept is a Hermetic Kabbalistic idea based on the traditional Kabbalistic Kabbalah with a K, Qlīphot, which is a very similar, basically the same thing, but just depicted differently, right? And all of these different mystic systems and traditions are building on each other to attempt to describe and understand and map the mystical understanding and nature of reality. So by talking about it, by sharing in these concepts, my intention is simply to say, let's not be afraid of learning, because at the end of the day, that is the point of the video. And us saying, warning, something could happen. Well, one, things did happen when we made it, but it's all there for us to learn and to explore and to discover deeper and deeper truths about who we are, including if we are looking at these darker parts of ourselves, which is, of course, the relationship. When we learn about the tree, you're just learning about the dark side of the self and how to transmute that. And so the way that I've learned personally, my favorite way to learn, to do this transmutation process is actually the process that has been given to us from Rythmia. And I say given to us, meaning like they share it openly with the whole world, and they facilitate it there in such an amazing way. So I wanted to just share what that process is, because again, this is something that you can do simply by intending this to be a process that you're walking, which is see who you've become, merge back with your soul at all cost, and heal your heart. And in this process, we talked about seeing who you've become, facing the shadow, and then merging back with your soul, which is when you see who you've become, you're seeing the part of yourself that has become separated from the soul. Like it's your soul seeing your ego, right? This like awareness of, oh, that's who I've become. In that shifting, you're creating, like you're taking this kind of schism of a lens and bringing them together, and they're shining into each other with complete whole awareness, and you become whole. And when that happens, there is a healing of the heart that takes place. And when the heart is healed, the wholeness is like, it's like that sphere is like there's a light on in the middle, and it's illuminating everything. And that is where the demons disappear, because as we all know, the only place where battles should be fought with demons is in our own hearts. And I said the quote completely wrong. I think I wrote it in the description better than that. Let me try it again. The only demons are the ones in our own hearts, and that is where all battles should be fought. That was Gandhi. Gandhi would have, if he was here right now, he'd be like, mic drop. But he's not, so I'll do it for him. But that was pretty fucking dope, Mr. Gandhi. So thank you. I wonder if he'd approve of this moment. So those are some of the lessons. I mean, there's so many lessons that I've had from the ayahuasca and the plant medicine at Rythmia. It really is such a beautiful space that I couldn't help but share, and wanted to just pass on, again, if you are interested in learning more, there's a link in the bottom of the description about it. But again, it's not one of the biggest things that I've learned from Rythmia, especially that I'm feeling right now, is that life is a ceremony. Life is a ceremony. It's not just in ceremony when you're on some psychedelics or some plant medicine. That each and every moment, each and every day, we have an opportunity to grow and to shift and to change and to evolve. And that the things that happen to us in life are there for a reason. They're there for us to learn something. And if we're looking for the lesson, then you really shift into that mindset that it is they're of growth, of evolution, of personal evolution, stepping into higher and higher versions of yourself. So if something traumatic happens, I shared this in a couple streams ago that I got into a car accident, right? And That on top of that, the insurance company was like, we're not going to help you because you were traveling at the time. Like, okay, got it, cool. That whole experience churned up so much for me. And yet every single like time that I would gaze into the totality of what was happening from a, like that bird's eye spirit minded perspective, I just saw like that the whole thing was in divine order. Like it was actually perfect. And it was, yeah, it's uncomfortable as hell, but it was perfect. And that if I could surrender to that perfection and not be like grumpy, oh, I got car bills, no, like all of these things, if I could just step outside of myself and I could just be in a state of surrender, this is what it is, and do your best, moving forward, that everything would work out just perfectly. And that's been what I've been practicing. And it's actually been, what I've found is I personally have just grown a lot. I've stepped into just higher levels of both with my work and with my own personal responsibility and my own personal energy and how I take care of myself. All of these things are like taking more refined shape because I surrendered to this experience of having kind of a traumatic car accident experience. It's been quite a journey, And so, I guess the invitation here is that if you treat life as a ceremony, that like everything that's going on, good and bad, is a part of some bigger picture and a story for you to receive and understand, see who you've become, merge with your soul at all costs, and heal your heart, it opens up this path for life to just flow a little bit easier. And I also understand if that like doesn't maybe make so much sense. It really probably depends on you personally and what point you're at on your path. And as always, my recommendation is just to kind of get your foot in the door. If this is something that's new for you, or something that doesn't sound easily doable, let's go to Rythmia. It really is. It like the space, the way that you're held when you have that experience there is unlike anything that I think I've ever experienced in my life. It is so deeply moving and profound that I can't help but want to share the love that I felt there with everybody. So I had to say it. In addition to that, a couple things just from, I had a 3-hour Patch Tarot Masters class earlier today inside of Spirit Mysteries. And one of the things that we talked about here was consistent effort. And I wanted to speak to this too, right? Because in that whole going to Rythmia is great, and maybe I'll book my trip later today, but for right now, what can I do in this moment? And this was something that I wanted to just, share with you was like this. Okay, there's 3 points here. There's consistent effort, there's Mr. Miyagi, and there's the training room. Okay, so consistent effort is being able to consistently show up for yourself on a daily basis in a way that is valuable or beneficial or meaningful to you. And I think, honestly, I'm just sharing this because we all know this deep down. Yeah, if you meditate for even 10 minutes a day, after a couple of weeks, you'll start to be like, wait a second, this is actually really, I'm clearer than I've ever been before, right? But sometimes it's hard to get your foot in the door to start that. And we just sometimes need a pep talk. So this is me being a little bit of a pep talk because, I don't know, maybe it'll help, like whatever it is for you that you're needing to, or inside that it's something that you want to work on. Like if it's whatever, just come up with, think of for yourself, what's the most meaningful thing to you? Where do you want to be in your life? And what is the one thing that you can do every single day, just a little bit to get better and better at it, right? If you've been following on the Spirit Stream, not the Spirit Stream, the Piano Time stream on my personal channel, you might have seen like 2 months of piano practice very consistently. it's actually really amazing to watch what's happening there. And it's just about showing up a little bit at a time, you know? And so Mr. Miyagi is, because my friend Nelson has been getting me to watch Cobra Kai, and then I've been revisiting the original Karate Kid movies, because I've never seen the second and the third ever. And now I've only never seen the third one. But I'm really connecting with this masterful Mr. Miyagi vibe of like, it's just wisdom applied to matter through patience and diligence and consistent effort. The way that he trains his students is really remarkable to see. And so when it comes to the training room, the concept of the training room is like your own personal dojo. Like, where do you want to spend your time in your personal evolution on a day-to-day basis, right? What are we actively working towards, right? Do we have like an end goal or even like a vision for ourselves in mind that we want to be moving in the direction of? And if that's like, whatever that is, you know, just again, that consistent effort to move yourself there. It's just one of the most valuable things that each and every one of us can do. And I think I needed to hear this as much as anyone. So I think that's why I'm saying it right now, honestly. Because it's been coming in, and I want to like anchor that frequency a little bit more just by sharing about it, talking about it, you know, opening up that conversation. So the last thing here on the list is, what is a demon, right? We talked about the tree of death. We talked about the relationship to the Qliphote, these husks, these shells that block the pure emanations of access to spirit. And what exactly is a demon? Sorry, I got a little distracted because I saw this message in the chat here that said, what are we talking about exactly? Like Tree of Death or Karate Kid? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. And the way that they weave together is very simply that. That's a good question. I think it was exactly what I was going with. Hold on. Let's come back to this for a moment. What is a demon? Demon comes from the Greek, daimon. Daimon, when you go into the depth of what that actually means, it was more like a tutelary deity of a sort. It was a spirit, kind of like a kami, but a little different from the Shinto understanding in Japan. Demons were never originally considered to be actually like daimons originally were never these like dark, evil, malevolent forces. But when the Christian empire really rose in around 300-400 AD and was like taking over, a lot of the language was changed, and the understanding of what these concepts were also changed. And so all of the spirits basically were reduced and suppressed into the concept of demons. We turn them into something that is not in harmony with us, with ourselves. And so, of course, we have all got demons, apparently, because the concept, we essentially created it. We created this concept for ourselves that has become rooted to our existence. So how it relates to Karate Kid is like, let's just look at the main story, for example. Like, all the characters kind of have their own demons, right? Both fear, weakness, and each other, right? The main character, his demon was Johnny, as well as the evil teacher who John Kreese was another level of the demon on the tree of death, right? And like all of the Cobra Kai, when they're all bad guys, all essentially were kind of filling out different roles of the darker aspects of the story and the darker aspects of themselves. Now, maybe that might sound like kind of a stretch, but that's how it looks to me. So I just thought I'd share that. It seemed like relevant. I don't know. I wrote it down. I wanted to talk about it. So, when you summon demons, when you invoke the concept of the Tree of Death, what's essentially happening is that you're unleashing these energies that are within you. Because they have, it's like a force, it's a level of consciousness that is suppressed, that you're looking at, you're shining light on, and it opens it up and it swirls around within you. And some people have that energy under wraps. Some people are already swimming in it. So it may or may not be something that you're directly noticing, like you watched that video and something bad happened. That's as far as at least my understanding of it goes, is that if you're actively participating in, working with yourself, you become far more intuitive to when something new comes into your field, energetically speaking anyways. And so while yes, it is maybe a pressurized darker force that you're not used to that is being activated or revealed, ultimately it's really just showing you already, like, what is already within yourself. It's making that sphere, like from the whole tree of or the show me who I've become concept, the Rythmia concept, and the merging with the soul. It's there to facilitate you being able to see yourself. And that's really the whole bottom line here. And so if we follow in that path, we follow in that principle, we can merge with our souls and we can heal our hearts. And that ultimately brings us to the closure of today's spirit stream, is just knowing that you can live any dream that you want. But in order to live a dream, first you have to dream a dream. And then you have to believe that it's possible. And most people, many people in life, they give up on their dreams. And they give up because they don't believe them. And then they stop dreaming them. And this is just, if anything, a reminder to let you know that you can have, do, or be any dream that you want. And life can be and look however you want it to be. And it can be beautiful. But if you unconsciously let life toss you about by what everybody else says that they want for you, or whatever other people say, and the other people make up your beliefs for you by telling you what to think and how to feel, then you become an unconscious swirling piece of consciousness in an ocean of the multidimensional reality field that is our existence. So step into something greater. Don't be afraid. You can literally steer your ship anywhere that you want it to go. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I want to end this stream with another little announcement, just a small little announcement, which is that very recently you might have noticed that Transcendence Radio, our 24/7 live stream of peaceful, enchanting, deepening, transcendent music, went down. It disappeared, and it hasn't been up for about 2 weeks now or so. And very soon, a new rebirth of this experience is going to be arriving. And this is going to be launching on Monday, so a couple days. But this afternoon, after this stream, sometime in the next half an hour or so, I'm going to go live again. And this time it's going to be I'm going to be live streaming my screen, and I'll be on the little tiny camera in the window or bottom or whatever. And I'm going to make the new animation for the next edition of Transcendence Radio. And so there's going to be like a time lapse in real time where we're going to listen to sound light, just tune into the sweet vibes and be creative. And I want to have just an open invitation that if you want to just tune into it, be creative yourself. If you're doing some art or you're just doing something in your world and just put it on and hang out with me, you're more than welcome to come and enjoy. So that's pretty much it. I think I'm going to say thank you for everyone watching. And I hope that my rambling made sense this time, because honestly, I feel like I was definitely all over the place. And it happens. This one, honestly, I don't know, the energy, it was difficult to talk about this one, actually. It really was. I missed last week doing a spirit stream specifically for that reason. And it took a lot to build up within me and lots of prayer to have the courage to turn on that stream. Because this was, I don't know, but I felt like I had to do it, which was also interesting. I didn't just jump to something else. So with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon on the next stream. Ciao.